Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of CMO's Perspective, which is an Advan initiative where we bring you the brains behind the brand. My name is Adiola Amusun. I'm the Group Media Manager at Toleram and the Publicity Director for Advan. Today, we will be talking to Mr. James Odejimi, who is the Head of Marketing at HPZ Limited. Glad to have you join us, Mr. James.
Yeah, thank you, Diola. It's my pleasure. Yeah.
How are you doing today?
Well, this is a very busy period, considering how, business is going through so many uncertain times. So we're quite busy, but I really feel privileged to really be able to have this session.
We're happy to have you join us. Okay,
Yeah.
so I have a couple of questions. First is, more like what we do for everybody, is just to get to know you, and we'd like you to talk us through your career path and, what actually got you into marketing in the first place.
Well, I think for me, it's how do I say? It's interesting because my major was in science, right? And I happen to be somebody who loves I love analyzing things. I'm very analytical person. So but my career was actually, I didn't start with marketing. I started with business development, where I worked with two different companies for like 3 years. And then I think I went into marketing when I joined LG Electronics. Okay, so I I was actually supposed to be under corporate section or corporate department, but because they saw the way I analyze situations and things, so they said, okay, why don't you bring this guy into the marketing? So at that time, I think I was drafted into market intelligence team, where I started, working on market insight, product development, consumer insights, moment of truth, and all those things, right? And then from there, I went into web development, web management. So from there, then I began to gather interest in understanding the products themselves and how they work and how they market them. So I think I also had to put in my interest to, I think, the head of marketing department at that time. So when he also saw the kind of interest that I have, he said, okay, why not come and join brand marketing? So that's how I got myself into brand marketing. And then, so I think for the past 15 years now, I've been in marketing all through. Uh,
Amazing.
then before I joined HPZ, also in marketing. But my key areas have always been in that innovation and development, strategic planning, and then go to market or route to market planning. So those have been the areas I've really developed myself, as I go through marketing. And of course, at this level, you have to have what we call commercial and financial acumen, because to be head of department, you need to be able to talk to your finance counterpart, or else you're not going to get any money for anything. So so you have to have that understanding. So it's been a very interesting journey, and I think it's a journey I never regret, actually.
Amazing. So for someone who started from, business development and then transitioning into corp marketing, I'm sure there'll be that moment you consider as the defining moments for you. Would you like to highlight one or two?
Yeah, so I would say it was a particular product launch which I did. So, like I said, I was in inside development, product development, and so there was a particular product which we developed for Nigeria. So we started to think about how do we develop product that Nigerians actually can relate with. I remember that time we developed this battery TV. Battery TV means that because a lot of times we find out that when people, uh, you know, when there's a power outage, right, your TV goes off, your DSTV goes off, and then people are struggling to go and turn on their generators in order to maybe watch a match or enjoy that moment. But at that time, you are trying to actually, get back online or get your power back. You find that you've lost some moments, and maybe critical moments. Maybe for guys who are watching football matches, you'll have missed some parts. So we decided, okay, can we have a TV that can remain powered for like an hour and a half, so that you enjoyed uninterrupted TV viewership? So really, and then the success we had in that really got me interested that, okay, I think I could go fully into marketing,
Mm.
rather than just focusing on one aspect of it, which is the insights and then product development and all that. So that's why I actually put in to go into brand marketing. And then after that, I had a very interesting product launch where we launched the first 3D TV at that time. I could remember then we engaged Professor Wale Soyinka, and then
Mm.
the excitement and the fact that the brand mention that you got, and then also the excitement also that you got a lot of PR for the brand, and then also the sales performance was fantastic. We shot to number one just within 3 months. So it was an exciting moment. So I felt, well, I think I have prowess in this, and I feel that I could really do well in marketing. So those experiences really got me excited, and then got me sold to go fully into marketing.
Thank you so much for that. That's more like having you trot through memory lanes, for
Exactly, exactly.
campaigns that you done in time. Because I can't exactly remember, how long such campaign, how far back such campaign would have happened.
Yeah.
So next question is, I think we spoke already about product launch, but we'd like to understand what are those key KPIs, or what are those things you consider as a success stories when you're evaluating your marketing campaign. So, I mean, from where I stand, for instance, they tell you look at two different measurement metrics. You're looking at the navigation and the evaluative metrics. Navigational speaks more to environment itself, while the evaluative metric speaks to platform that you have either deployed in terms of how you launch your marketing campaign. So, from where you stand, what are those KPIs that you look at? I think it would be nice to actually have that sense of understanding, because I mean, for someone like myself who sort of transitioned from the agency side to the brand side,
Mm.
I got to understand that the things that you look at as an agency person is sort of different from what you look at when you're on the brand side. So it would be nice to just hear from you, what are those key KPIs you look at when you're trying to evaluate the success of your marketing campaign.
Yeah. Thank you for that question. I think for me, the success of the marketing starts from you defining what the objective is, first of all. Not even this period that resources are scarce, right?
Mm.
And then also, most of the companies or brands are not willing to invest on more of brand building initiatives. They are thinking more of commercial, commercial led initiative. Maybe let me say precisely what to bring sales, right? So if you are going to say that, for instance, in most times, maybe we think about investing about say 60% on brand building, and say, let's say we say 40% on promotions, and then other bit of it. But these days, you can't have that anymore. So you have to think about more of those what's it, commercial or sales-led initiative. However, we still have to do branding, right? We still also have to do those brand campaigns that promote our brand. So, and then we need to really define what do we want to achieve, or what is the stage that I have in terms of whether I'm doing a product launch, or I'm promoting my brand. What level in that brand funnel I am at the moment. For instance, if I know that my brand has a strong awareness, it won't make sense to me. And then it will be very difficult for me to get justification to say, I want to drive brand awareness, right? Because the brand, oh, the brand is well known. So we don't have enough resources. So what do? You have to start thinking of something that will generate. So I start from there. And then, so where we start from is first analyzing the data and see where is the gap for the brand and what is essential now, and then what is also considered as a future campaign, I mean, to sustain the brand. So once that is defined, then we now begin to look at what are the KPIs that we also have to, measure. What are the KPIs? Your finance guy will tell you basically they think about ROI, return on investment.
Absolutely.
So if I'm putting in 100, if I'm putting in 100 million, so how many billions are you going to give me? So, but for us, we now have to look at justification, where we what we want to do and how we want to do it and what is the return for the business. So if we are looking at awareness, for instance, we know that definitely we want to drive penetration for the brand. Then we have to look at what are the KPIs we need to look at, right? We have to look at the kind of impression or the reach. Where do we want to reach? For instance, if we feel that uh, outside Lagos, the brand is not getting the kind of leverage that it deserves. And then we said, okay, let's expand to so states. And then we measure, do we have that reach in that state? What is the brand mention, right? When you do your survey, or your, then if you are also maybe if you have a website where you are either doing your e-commerce or your D2C, right, website, or you have a store, you now begin to look at what is the traffic, right, that you're getting to your website or to those places. And then what is the search for your brand? When you look at your Google search, for instance, what are the organic things that you begin to generate? Where do you rank in terms of those ratings? And then also we see also how much word of mouth, right, you have been able to generate in terms of your brand. And then if you are also looking at, okay, I see the situation as I have the brand awareness, but when you talk about brand mention, my brand doesn't come in the first three, right? Which means that there's a gap in terms of consideration. So I now begin to talk about how do I drive those consideration. Of course, I'll consider activities that will help me drive that consideration. Maybe I'm doing the brand activation, I'm doing some in-store activation or management, or I'm doing some kind of product trialing. I want people to really engage with, because why are they not considering it? There may be some barriers, right? Is it that they do not understand the value, right, that the brand actually delivers? So which means I need to really communicate those brand values. So for me to measure the success of that, I say how much engagement have I been able to get, right, for that brand? And then when I do my brand health study, I'll be able to see where does it place me. Is there an improvement from the engagement, from consideration down to the ownership, right, of my brand? Has that increased? So I now also begin to look at, is there a lead generation for my brand? Is how much as people showing interest? And then another thing also which I also use is to see the brand power. What I mean by brand power is that, does my brand command that premium, right, that I'm actually want to get in the market? Because there will be a threshold whereby the consumers will not be able to willing to pay more for your brand. But when you see that they can pay like 10%, 20% for your brand, it means that definitely your brand is ranking well in terms of consideration. I'm saying this because if you have to talk to your finance guys, you need to talk about things that are in numbers, right?
Measurable.
Measurable, yes. And then also they find that they connect also with the goal that the business wants to deliver. Then also, if I now think about, okay, I want to bring in brand loyalty, I need to begin to think about what do I do? Maybe I'm thinking of personalization. And I think Coca-Cola is doing great in that respect. And then we also try to do some personalization, like customizing the refrigerator, for instance. We know that consumers most times put their refrigerators in the living room. So
Mm.
refrigerator is much more than cooling for a lot of customers. I don't know about you. So, but for a lot of them, it's about, my lifestyle, right? My image, right? So, and then we thought about what about if we make it, personalize it for them, or bring some emotional connection to that refrigerator. So we started a campaign like, branding the refrigerator with your memorable moment, right? And really, we saw the acceptance of that was really great. So that's really, of course, increased the sales, increase, the repurchase, because we find that a lot of people are now purchasing for family members, or even those who want to have a wedding gift now decided to put, the picture of the couple in front of the refrigerator before presenting to them. So that also we begin to look at what are the things that we measure to determine that. What are the repeat purchase? What is the kind of the lifetime commitment of those customers? You hear a lot of people talked about, my parents were using Ayatamoko for like 10, 15 years. So I
Mm.
also want to use that, because what they connect to the brand, right? They connect to the quality that is able to deliver despite the price premium and all that. So a lot of KPIs you can measure. If you also want to do a digital campaign, what are the click-through rates? You also look at your CRM to measure, uh, you know, um, I mean, how much the consumers are actually willing to engage with your brand, purchase your brand, most especially in this period that the consumer pockets is really, let me say, tight,
Deep.
very tight. So they have to think about priority. So for them to ask them to buy you now and not later, really there
Mm.
must be something that you are offering. So those are really KPIs we looked at. So the brand power also for me is very key, because at this time you need your brand should be able to command some premium for you. And of course, for your commercial guys or for your finance guys, the fact that, they can ask you, can you do a little bit of price up, and say, okay, no problem, because I believe that we can accommodate that. That allows you to really be able to do other things you want to put in there.
Thank you so much for, that response. I think there's one thing that I picked on from everything you've said,
Yeah,
which is not even answering the question, is more of understanding the objective behind the
yeah,
campaign that you want to put out. Because, it is easy for you to say a campaign is not successful, but the question we need to ask ourselves is, what was the objective you set in the first place?
exactly.
Before even saying this is a marketing campaign. So thank you so much once again for that response. So to my next question, it's a people economy. Globally and to a large extent in some
Yeah,
organizations, even in Nigeria and across Africa. And like they often say, a leader is as good as the people that he or she leads. We'd just like you to talk us through how you motivate your team to consistently deliver high quality results. For someone with your wealth of experience, how do you get your team to consistently deliver? I just digress a little bit. You mentioned something around football initially, right? And speaking of football, I support a club that currently they seem to be floundering. They're struggling so bad, and that's Manchester United. A lot of people have been saying that you need to get the manager sacked. In the last 2 years, the result has been the same. He's not been able
yeah,
to get the team to perform. And I think the owners came out a couple of days ago to say, you know what, for now, we're not sacking the manager. Let's keep as what we currently have.
yeah,
But the fans tend to think differently. So it would be nice to just, get a sense of how you get your team to consistently deliver results at HPZ or even, your former life.
yeah. Personally, I am somebody that has this passion for leadership. I'm really very concerned because, like, you talk about Man U, the team is as good as the leader, actually. I always believe that the whole ball falls on because the team selection is you, right? And then their performance is you. So if they are not performing, you need to understand what exactly is wrong, right? And then if you are not able to do that, then there's something wrong with your leadership. And that's why you have some kind of leaders, even in difficult times, are able to retain their teams. Some have retainership of are able to retain 80%, 90%, even where people are jumping here and there. Why? Some may not stay because of the company. Sometimes they may stay because of the leaders, right?
Absolutely.
Because of what he's been able to. And I see that very important. And for me, I understand the challenge we have currently for individual, in terms of economic challenges. We also understand that people are going through a lot of pressure. And then, of course, your company expects your performance to be very optimal, right? And then there's more demand on your company, delivering revenue, and then also to be able to sustain the business. So, and we used to say in my company that cash is king, but now we say that talent is king.
Amazing.
Keeping your people is very important, and keeping them motivated is also very important, because if you're going to get the results without having to shout and scream and push and then micromanage, you need to really have a well motivated team. So for me, the first thing is you need to create that environment, that comfortable environment where they can really express their talent, express themselves, right? An environment where you create more like a team rather than individual,
Hmm.
where you are looking at team performance rather than the individual, where you are looking at attitude, behavior rather than just looking at performance. Because, for instance, somebody may be a high performer or may have the capability and then the capacity to give that high performance, but he's not able to do that because of certain issues and challenges that that person has. So it's for me to understand what those issues are, and what those challenges are. So I create that environment where I engage them constantly. I don't even wait for a review period. Maybe we have 6 months review period, 3 months review period. I engage them anyhow. So sometimes I take them, when I'm going to for tea break, or I want to go and take tea, I say, walk with me. And then we began to talk outside work, personal things, because at that time I want them to really be able to feel comfortable, to feel that I understand you, I feel what you feel, and we are in this together. And then also I'm here to also support you to be able to deliver, right? And then the other thing which I do secondly is to empower the team. In a time that team feel pressured, they find comfort in being able to have that sense of achievement, or that satisfaction that I'm able to do something great, whether for myself or for the business, right? That sense of achievement is also what motivates people. So I feel that empowering them, giving them that autonomy, and allowing them to also take initiative. Sometimes you feel, there's temptations to say sometimes when they bring some initiative, and then you feel that, look, we can't do everything, we have to pick and say, oh, come on, are you in this business at all? Are you, do you feel me? And then you are bringing an idea which I think it's for me, it's not the priority. And then you are bringing an idea and you're asking me to go and commit fortune in that idea. I say, come on, but you need allow them to express themselves, and then you also now communicate. Okay, what are the priorities we need to drive? Can we keep this initiative? Can we go with this for now? And so they feel that sense of um, fulfillment, because a lot of times it's not just about money. Actually, sometimes people wants to be able to have that sense of achievement. I achieved something, and I can put this thing in my CV that yes, this is what I achieved. And I then also have open communication, right? You are free to express yourself. You are free to disagree with me. You are free to say no, right? Like I always tell them, I said, you are the CEO of your category, and you know better than I do, right? In terms of details, I could miss something because I'm looking at overall, right? And I'm looking at connection to the business objective. So if you know something and then you have a data to back it up, or you have facts, you can always challenge my decision. And it's okay. Ah, fantastic. Okay, let's look at it. And then we now begin to look at it as a team and then agree. And then, of course, you have to reward your team. When they do well, is either you give them, sometimes I give them this, that well done card, right? Well done. Or sometimes also as a business, there's also this reward scheme monthly. So whether for initiative or behavior so we also give them an award. Maybe give them a token and say, or sometimes say, oh, for the team performance this time, let's go out and then let's have some kind of break, and then so that's really keep them motivated. Then lastly, they also must be certain that they can grow, they can develop their career. Because if there's stagnancy, there's no motivation you can give, right? So, and I'm as a person, I'm not always tight on holding my people, well, especially if they want to progress. I have some of my team members who have also become head of department, uh, head of marketing, right? They are peers, right? So for me, I'm never in competition with them. In fact, I always feel it's my joy, even if you have to go. And even though I know I have to recruit talent, right? New talent. So, but I always guide myself in terms trying to build a teamwork so that every team member understand what the other person is doing. So if you leave today, somebody is ready to fill into that role. There's not going to be a gap. And then, of course, I also understand what is going on there so that if I need to support that person, I can, pending the time, we'll be able to get that person. And then from time to time, also, I organize in house training. So sometimes I ask those who have knowledge in certain areas to give a training. So different things we do to really motivate the team and then also encourage them at this time. Because, like I said, talent is key. They are king.
I really I like that point, and I've taken note of it. Talent is king. There's a couple of things you've also mentioned. The need to give the team the autonomy to operate. Let
Yeah,
them have a sense of belonging. Let them have a sense of achievement. Let them feel like they're part of the team. And
absolutely.
not the last point you mentioned, but second to the last, which was making sure that you reward achievement. You know, there's a popular saying that goes, effort without incentives destroys motivation. I've had these ever since I was
Mm,
in secondary school, and I think it's also very important,
absolutely.
you know, as leaders or as marketeers, we, you know, understand the importance of also rewarding team members for good performances. So thank
Yeah.
you once again, Mr. James, for that response. So not to take too much of your time, this is the last question I'm going to be asking, and
Okay.
it is essentially to understand from your own perspective, what are the current challenges facing the marketing industry and how can we navigate them? We cannot shy away from the issues or from the challenges that we have on ground. There are a number of them. I would like to know, you know, what are the issues and how do you think we can resolve some of these issues as far as businesses in Nigeria today they're concerned?
I hope I'm not taking too much time because I seem to be saying a
No,
lot.
no worries, no worries, no worries.
Okay. Honestly, the business environment is tough. Really, it's tough, and so businesses need talent, and and that is one of the key challenge. I could remember when we were Osamide and then Ediri when we were talking about the talent gap that we have. And then I remember we had a session at Unilag trying to talk about what is the education system doing in trying to bring up a lot of people in terms of talent in the marketing sphere. Then I now begin to think about it that actually there are a lot of talents, but most of those talents don't stay in Nigeria.
Hmm.
They don't stay in Nigeria. Or maybe some of those talents also are restricted to looking for opportunity where it exists. So you see somebody who study marketing going into some areas and doing something different from what they went to study, right? And this may be good guys that could really bring a lot of initiatives and a lot of ideas and development into the this. So there's that gap. And I really want to thank Advan for that initiative, an initiative like this where we can also, share the experience between those who have been in the industry for some time and then also those who are coming up. We also have to understand that there's a development period. Many of us didn't get to know all these things about marketing or hey, I just have this strategic initiative strength or ideas and all these things. But we also grow through the rank. So I think through this initiative like this, trying to develop that talent will also motivate a lot of people to think that they can use that in Nigeria rather than thinking that, yes, maybe it's abroad that I can really express myself.
Hmm.
And then the other thing is also um, that businesses are squeezed for profitability. And I know even in Toleram, costs has gone up significantly.
Absolutely.
And of course, you don't also want to pass every price or every cost to your consumers. So you have to start thinking of how do you manage. And you can bet me that the first place that they looked at after overhead is your marketing spend.
Absolutely.
It's your marketing spend. So, and that really creates a lot of so your budget becomes smaller, and then so how much you can do becomes so. Imagine you have so many initiatives and ideas, and you want to do, and then they're saying no money. That can really be a big challenge for marketing and marketeers. But what we do, I would say, first of all, I've always been about, you know, playing to win. And you decide what is best for you, not because your competitors are doing this or because everybody is doing this, but it has to be relevant to your brand. So
Hmm.
that's why we always have fewer, bigger, better. So rather than thinking of doing so many things, why not do fewer things and do it bigger and for better results, right? So that's kind of give you that kind of you can maximize your spend, and then you can give some confidence to the business so that they don't really begin to think about taking all your
Limited
funds.
budget.
Yes, yes, that limitation of budget. Then also the other challenge which I see is overregulation. I think we're going to have a meeting this evening. Sometimes when I see what is obtainable in the global uh in the global part of the industry, right? And I see how the creativity and then the ideas, and I say, and then you come here and then say you cannot do this, you cannot do this, you cannot do this. And then it can really, really be very, very overwhelming.
Hmm.
And really, overregulation is not only in terms of even for marketing. You see almost everywhere, and this actually is making the environment very difficult for, marketing ideas, marketeers to really be able to, foster, develop, grow, and then also express themselves, without any kind of limitation. And I really like the engagement we are having with the likes of Arcon and then many other regulatory agencies. But honestly, I really praise that some of these things we're able to really make them understand the impact of this as. Then the other thing that I would say is also data. You cannot rule out data in this part of the world. This is where I find challenge. And when I say data, I'm not. I'm talking about real-time data.
Data. Yeah.
Yeah, where you can make decisions. Yes, of course, digital. You can take some decision. What about when you are dealing with sales aspects, when you are dealing with strategy or go to market. You don't even have a view of what is happening in the whole market. For instance, you want to understand where is the consumer drifting to, right? Where's their preference going to? And then the agencies that are actually providing this data also make it is expensive. Why? Because maybe they don't have the scale that is needed for them to really have really, or sometimes they are telling you if you need this kind of survey. I remember we were trying to do some survey on consumer experience. We want to see how consumer experience our product. Say, oh, we don't have tools for this. Because I remember when I was in my former company, and then I interact on with our global colleagues, and then some of the initiatives, as in there are some gadgets or some tools that helps you to see how a consumer feels, their feelings when they are interacting with your products, and that actually gives you a lot of insight in terms of how your product is displayed, how your product is designed, how your packaging is done, so that you begin to think about how do I, take advantage of those insights. So that data issue is also really one of the big challenge that I see. That I want to see a lot of companies going into that. I don't know what Advan also can do in terms of from our members. What are some of the sometimes what are the data that we can provide, that can help also our members also to really be able to work well in. I will stop at this because I could, when I'm talking about marketing, it's always exciting for me. So uh, let me just stop here because of our time.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Mr. James, for not only honoring our invitation, but for walking us through some of these insights that you shared as far as your journey in marketing is concerned, issues as related to marketing as an industry and how we can find lasting solutions to the issue.
Mm.
Once again, thank you so much for your time.
Thank
Um,
you, Adela.
I'm asking you to enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. You too.